These are modern kids shows. These are on television right now. So here's an animated cartoon, an animated show for kids called The Muppet Babies. This is a Disney cartoon. And one of the characters' name is Gonzo. And if you look up at the picture on the left, that's how he's normally appeared in the show as the past. He's a male character, dressed as, as a little boy typically would. Well, in one episode, his clothing is magically transformed. He's given this dress and these glass slippers and these long gloves that go up to his elbow. And he tells Miss Piggy and Kermit and the other Muppets, you can now call me Gonzarella. And so this is a play on the Cinderella fairy tale. But this is not like Cinderella, where you have a woman who's transformed into a princess essentially. Here you have a little boy who's transformed into a princess. And Miss Piggy is quick to tell all the other Muppets, oh, we need to accept him just as he is. And so again, what is this teaching kids? I mean, this is the intended audience, very young kids who would be watching this show. So he goes from Gonzo to Gonzarella. Another cartoon, this is Arthur, put out by PBS. And in one episode, it features the marriage of two male characters. And there they are walking down the aisle. I think a lot of people have heard of Blue's Clues. This is a show for preschoolers on Nickelodeon. And again, I'm going to say some things. I mean, if you don't hear it from me, this is being said to your kids in the world. This episode has a drag queen singing songs to kids about marching in the Gay Pride Parade. And in part of this song, it sings about, a family which has two mommies, and they're so proud. And another family which people are trans. Again, this is put out for preschoolers. Here's a book I found titled The Gay BCs. And as you open it up, it goes through the alphabet. Here's the letter B. According to this book, B is for bi. And I quote, it says, you can shout it out loud. I like boys and girls, and that makes me proud. The letter D is for drag. And it has a rhyme to go with that, encouraging young people to dress like the opposite sex. And so again, what's the intended age group here? What's the demographic? People use that language. I mean, this is for kids who can't even read yet. Parents who choose to use this material, they're teaching this to kids who can't even read, kids who are learning their alphabet. Here's another Nickelodeon show. This is a live-action show in which a drag queen sings about the meaning of the gay pride rainbow flag. Here's a Disney show titled Out, a Disney Pixar short. And that really just says it all, right? It's about a young man coming out to his family. This is a great irony that people who've chosen a lifestyle which guarantees they cannot have kids of their own want to influence and teach children. To me, that seems, again, ironic. And this kind of thing happening in kids' shows, this is becoming more and more common. And unless something changes in our society, in our culture, it's going to keep on becoming more common. Here's a news article. And if anyone doesn't like Fox News for whatever reason, this story has been covered by other branches of the news as well, like CBS and others. And this article is titled, Disney Wants to Share Its Radical Sexual Politics with Your Underage Kids. And I would offer a small correction. I would say they are. I mean, they're already doing it. Disney, which to me is so sad. I mean, if you're like me, you grew up watching, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck and Goofy, and it was just fun, silly stuff. Had nothing to do with sex of any kind. And now, again, they're intentionally putting this kind of stuff into their kids' programming. Let me just read you two excerpts from this article. And it says, quote, and this is again regarding Disney, quote, executive producer LaToya Raveneux laid out Disney's ideology in blunt terms. She said her team was implementing a not at all secret gay agenda and regularly adding queerness to children's programming, end quote. And so they're open about this. It's no longer something that people are even trying to hide in any way. Not at all secret. Again, they use, this is their language, they call it an agenda. They have an agenda in kids shows, cartoons. So this isn't some, some nutball Christian conspiracy theorists. This is their own language. They're saying they have an agenda. Again, another part of this article, and again I quote, another speaker, production coordinator Alan Marsh, I hope I'm saying his name right, March, said his team has created a, quote, tracker to ensure that they are creating enough canonical trans characters, canonical asexual characters, and canonical bisexual characters. Corporate president Carrie Burke said she supported having many LGBTQIA characters in our stories and reaffirmed the company's pledge to make at least 50% of its on-screen characters sexual and racial minorities, end quote. And so there's clearly an agenda to indoctrinate children to believe that fornication and sodomy are not only acceptable, but these are lifestyle choices which should be celebrated. And again, how much more blunt and clear could they get regarding this issue? We want many LGBT so on. Right? And nothing wrong with race. This is not a racial issue, but for some reason they lump in racial minorities. But it says they want at least 50% of their cartoon characters. So, for every Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy, they want some LGBTQ character as well. I did an internet search for the phrase cartoons which have LGBTQ. I did a Google search, a search engine. And one result came up saying, quote, 30 of the best lesbian, bisexual, and queer animated TV shows. Another result says 16 cartoon shows with awesome LGBTQ plus characters, pride. And so this is becoming more common today in again, kids shows, kids cartoons. Things for, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Kids who have no idea about these kinds of things. We live in a hypersexualized culture. And I think it's a sad thing that this way of viewing the world is being forced on children. And that is not the Christian worldview. That is not the Christian way of living life. Christianity is about caring for kids and letting them be exactly that, letting them be kids. To run and play and have fun. Kids who have no interest in the worldliness of adults. And yet nowadays, with some people, from the time kids are even able to read, they're being taught about, to use the biblical word, sodomy and fornication. And so we ought to have pride as Christians because, Christ cares for kids. We ought to care for kids and not, force all this adult baggage onto them. We want kids to be happy and healthy and to have a childhood.